Hello, this video describes programming exercise 3 on page 318 of your textbook. I'm going to begin with a brief history of the pronunciation of tk-enter or teek-enter. The author of the textbook pronounces tk-enter as teek-enter, which is correct because the word has its origins as discussed below. TK is an abbreviation for toolkit, and enter is an abbreviation for the interface to TCL, tool control language. The two abbreviations were combined to form tk-enter, and hence the pronunciation of tk-enter as teek-enter. Okay, so now I have the program running, program 3 on page 318 in your textbook. And you can see right here the program is running. Okay, and we have basically 4 frames. Frame number 1 is this line, frame 2 is this line, frame 3, and frame 4. Okay, so to begin this program, we will go ahead and import teek-enter and set up our call for main. Now we're not actually going to have a class or a method or a function called main. Our main class is Miles GUI. Okay, so that's the definition of our class. So Miles GUI is the first thing called. When Python parses all of the code in this file, the last thing it sees is MPG equals Miles GUI function or class, and it calls the class Miles GUI. And then of course it instantiates the init method. Alright, so that creates the main window. The statement right here, self main window, is created from the teek-enter TK. Alright, and now we're going to create the 4 frames that I mentioned over here in the running program. You can see the 4 frames listed here. 1 for gallons, 1 for miles, 1 for miles per gallon, and 1 for the buttons, which is called bottom frame. And these are all placed in the main window. Okay. Alright, next we create the widget for the gallons frame. So basically this is where we can enter the name or the number of gallons. You can see that wording right there is what comes out right there, and so on. And we're going to set it up to a width of 10. Okay, I think that's 10 points according to the font that's being used. Okay. Alright, now we're going to pack the widgets in the frames. And pack, it can be entered without a parameter here when we call the pack method. And if you leave this parameter out, it will be centered within the frame. But the other 2 options besides the default value of center is to align the data in the frame to the left, or if you needed to the right. So that's what we're doing right there, is just aligning the data to the left or to the right of the frame. Okay. Now we're creating the widgets for the miles frame. So you can see right here, enter the number of miles. This is a multi-line line. I broke the line out so it would fit on my screen here, but enter the number of miles right there. Okay. And then we next pack the miles. We also pack that to the left or align it to the left. So you can think of pack as sort of a line, either left or center or right. Okay, that's just some of the terminology they came up with. Alright, then the miles per gallon right here is going to be displayed right there when the user clicks calculate MPG. Then the miles per gallon is going to be displayed right there beside that equals. Okay, and then we're going to create a blank label, and that's going to be to actually hold, that's the blank label right there, to hold the answer when we do our multiplication here in a minute. And then we go ahead and pack this to the left as well. And then we put the two buttons in there. So this is the text on the calculate MPG button, and this is the text on the quit button. And of course, this is the command to quit. It basically uninstantiates the main window, or with the word destroy. It's a little strong word, but oh well, that's what happens. Okay, so and then so now we pack those widgets in the bottom frame right there, and we're going to align that to the left of the frame as well. Okay, and then we pack the frames, and see right here we don't call anything this time. We pass no parameters to the pack method. So the center, that's what makes these in the center. Okay, and then we call the teak enter main loop. And now here's the function that actually, when the user presses calculate MPG, this is the method called calculate MPG, and it calls self, which instantiates the class that we saw up here. The class up here was Miles GUI, GUI, graphical user interface, if you didn't know that. Okay, so and then we're going to actually get the values that were entered in the boxes and use the get method right there, and then we're going to get the miles that were entered in the box right there, and then we're going to calculate the miles per gallon, and we're going to float the self miles divided by the self gallons, and then we're going to update. We're going to set the value for the self miles per gallon label right there. So that's the statement right there that pushes the answer to our little label right here after the equals. Okay, and I think that gives us all the code we want. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. So I've clicked over here, and let's say that I used up 10 gallons and that I drove 100 miles, for example, and calculate the MPG. You can see I'm getting 10 miles to the gallon. Now on the other hand, if I got 200 miles out of 10 gallons, of course, then I would be getting 20 miles to the gallon. Okay, now we didn't really need our little shell window over here during this run, because it's there and it's going to be open, but we don't really need it, and there's a way to hide that. But at any rate, for right now, we're just interested in this. Now we do want to look over here at this little shell window when we click the quit button, and we want to make sure that it quit gracefully, so we don't see any errors here during the entire run of the program or during the quit. We do not see any errors, so I will be checking for that. So what I'll be checking for is that the program runs correctly, that you gave me the correct file name, which Moodle tells you that MPG_calculator.py. Okay, so that it runs correctly and that you gave me the right file name. Okay, I hope that's clear, and I hope you have fun writing this. I'll kind of scroll back through here one last time so that you can see all the code that you need for this particular exercise. Okay, so thank you, and I hope you have a good time doing this.